Okay, so the purpose of this quick video is to show how you can use Repstor Affinity to access huge folder structures within SharePoint Online from the comfort of the Outlook interface. So let's start by looking first of all at our SharePoint system here, our SharePoint backend. What you can see is there are lots and lots of document libraries here. So there's actually several thousand document libraries in this SharePoint content store. These all relate to, in this case, they're relating to customer names, okay? Customer names and customer IDs. Equally, this could be legal matters, for example, or it could be projects or contracts. Now, of course, you'll be aware that using Repstor Affinity, we can connect these folder structures to Outlook itself, okay, and access those folder structures within Outlook. Now, the initial temptation might be to connect every single folder that you have within SharePoint Online to Outlook. However, that's not recommended. It's a Microsoft recommendation. Microsoft recommend that when you're synchronizing folders into Outlook, you try to keep the number of folders synchronized to under 10,000. Okay, so that's a Microsoft guidance. That does present the challenge if you've got potentially a SharePoint structure with several tens of thousands of document libraries, and each of those document libraries will have their own folder structures. So how can you deal with that? Well, the good news is Repstor has really good online functionality that lets you address huge folder structures within SharePoint Online. Let's take a quick look. So first of all, what you'll see here on my Outlook is I've already connected 10 document libraries into my Repstor Affinity. And of course, that means I can access the content of those document libraries in SharePoint as if they were folders within Outlook itself. But bearing in mind, I've got several tens of thousands of folders in SharePoint Online, I perhaps want to file some emails that are in my inbox to folders that I maybe don't have synchronized here in Outlook. So how can I do that? Well, using Repstor Online filing, what you can do is in your inbox, select the emails that you wish to file, and then click on the Quick File option in the ribbon here. When you click on Quick File, what that will do is pop up a search window that allows you to search across all of the document libraries and all of the folders that Repstor is aware of, okay? And that could be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of those document libraries. Now, let's take a few examples here. I might want to search for, customer names containing the phrase ARIA, for example. So if I type in ARIA, there we go. You'll see very quickly Repstor has brought back the customer names that contain ARIA in the customer name. Equally, I could also search based on the code or the surname, first name, and so on. Point here is that as a user, I can now file emails to any of these locations in SharePoint directly without having to pin them into my Outlook in the first place. So let's work with this folder. Okay, so the customer here called Mariana. So I'm going to file these emails into Mariana's folder structure. So I'll expand her folders, click on correspondence. I'm going to choose to copy these emails, standard Repstor functionality. Copy those emails into Mariana's correspondence folder. And what's happening here is Repstor is now filing those emails from my inbox directly into that user's folder within SharePoint. And I've been able to do that without having to pin that folder into Outlook here in the first place. So it's a really good, really efficient way of getting those files into SharePoint without having to pin huge numbers of folders. That's great, but what if we want to now see, well, what has been filed into Mariana's folder? So how do we do that? Well, one option, of course, is you could pin that user's folder, which is one option, but you want to avoid that. You want to avoid going over this 10,000 folder limit that Microsoft recommend. So what you can also do is by clicking on the My Customers button here on the ribbon, or my contracts, or my proposals, whatever your configuration is set up as, you can now use this search box to search across all of your folders, okay? So I'm going to search for Mariana. And what that will do is perform that search for Mariana, and there we go, there's Mariana's folder that we filed to a few moments ago. I could pin her folder if I wished, which would bring it into the Outlook tree view here on the left-hand side. But a quicker way to do this, if you want to have a quick peek inside, is to click on the title. What we're seeing here is a direct view, if you like, into the SharePoint backend. So this is letting us see directly inside Mariana's folder. And if I look at the correspondence folder, there are the 4 emails that I filed online a few moments ago. Okay, so what I've been able to do there, as you've seen, is we've got several tens of thousands of folders within SharePoint. I've only synchronized a handful of those into Outlook, but nevertheless, using this Repstor Online functionality, I'm able to very easily file emails into folders that I haven't necessarily subscribed to, and also take a look inside those folders. There is a further feature that's enabled here, which is actually really useful, which is to use the online search capabilities of Repstor. So for those of you who've used Repstor before, you'll be familiar with the fact that the search box in Outlook will perform searches against the folders that you currently have pinned into Outlook, which is fine, but that will search only those local folders, okay? If you've got several tens of thousands of folders, then you want to search across those. You also have the option of using this search online feature here, okay? Search online, what that does is it switches the search engine from being the local Outlook search engine, which uses these folders, to being the SharePoint search engine. So let's take a look at this in action. So if I click on search all items online and then type in the search term that I'm looking for. So I'm going to use the person that we filed to a few moments ago, Mariana. Press return. What that's now doing is using the SharePoint search engine itself to find all items which contain the phrase Mariana, either as part of the email subject or the email content, or as part of the email metadata, because we filed this email, those 4 emails a few moments ago, into Mariana's folder. And what you're seeing here is now we're able to quickly search for all emails that have been filed against this particular user, Mariana. This also works as well, by the way, if we used her code 05139. If I search for that, again, that's going to run that search against SharePoint Online and bring back those same 4 emails. So anything that's been filed into Mariana's folder, we'll be able to use this online search to find those, even though we haven't pinned Mariana's folder at all here. So this is giving you great flexibility. You've got the ability to pin your folders into Outlook itself for your regularly used folders. But even if you have huge numbers of folders that you don't regularly use, using these online capabilities from Repstor, you can still file to, access content in, and search for files in those folders without having to synchronize them into Outlook in the first place.